The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. If you were like me, you might have heard this verse before and ask yourself, what does this even mean? Why would I fear God? He loves me. He cares for me. Why would the fear of Him be the beginning of wisdom? I think the key to understanding this verse is first understanding who God is. Growing up, I had formed and molded in my own mind of who I thought God was and who He is to me. Think about that for a second. I created my own snugly cuddly God to fit my own thoughts and my own beliefs, but not by what the Bible tells us about who He is. There was no reason for me to fear God because He wasn't angry with me. I mean, I haven't done anything so serious to deserve any punishment from Him. I was a good person. He was happy with me. This is how I thought and how I fear most people think today. So let's answer the question, who is God? Let's look at a verse that pops out to me. There's a prophet in the Old Testament by the name of Isaiah who got a glimpse of God in heaven on His throne. God pulled back the curtains for a moment just to give Isaiah a fresh touch of who He is. It reads, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of His robe filled the temple." Let's pause for a moment and see that He says the train filled the temple. The train, like on a wedding dress, is a symbol of majesty and royalty. How majestic and royal is a robe that fills an entire temple? He goes on and says, above it stood seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 He covered His face, with 2 He covered His feet, and with 2 He flew. So the seraphim are just a special type of angel. The wings show different signs. 2 covering the face shows that they couldn't even look at the glory of God. 2 covering the feet show a sign of humility. And 2 that flew show a sign of service. Then it says, one cried out to another and said, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of His glory." These angels could have used any other word to describe God, but they chose holy. When's the last time you fell down, covered your face, and said, "God, you are so holy. I am unworthy. You are nothing like me. You are so beyond me. I want to worship you. You are a holy God." Well, that's just what Isaiah did in the next passage. He saw this and said, "Woe is me, for I am lost, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty." Have you seen God? This is who God is. He is holy. He is so holy and pure that in Psalms 5:4 it says, "You are not a God who delights in wickedness. Evil may not dwell with you." Think of the purest, cleanest white shirt you can picture. Now take a Sharpie and place a small tiny dot in the middle of that shirt. The shirt has been completely ruined now. Even one tiny dot of sin cannot dwell with God. This is how holy and pure the Bible says that God is. This should start to humble us and show us how unworthy we are. Now let's go back to my mindset growing up. God's not angry with me. I'm a good person. Why do I need to fear God? And why is the fear of Him the beginning of wisdom? With this new knowledge of how holy God is, maybe you might be saying like I did, "Yeah, I get that, but I'm still not a bad person." The problem here is that we compare our goodness based on other people and not on God's standards. Jerry Sandusky might sit in prison and say, "Yeah, I did what I did, but I would never kill anyone like that guy over there." Then that guy would say, "Yeah, I killed one person, but I would never be a serial killer like that guy." We are constantly comparing ourselves to others for our goodness. There's always someone worse than us in our minds. See, the number one definition for the word good in the dictionary is that which is morally right. Moral perfection is what God's standard is. And Jesus said in Mark 10:18 that there is none good but God. I'd like you to take a little test and be honest with yourself. How many lies have you told? What do you call someone that's told a lie? A liar. Have you ever stolen anything, no matter the value? What do you call someone that's stolen something? A thief. Have you ever used the Lord's name in vain? This is called blasphemy, and it's when you use God's holy name in the place of a cuss word. Would you ever use your mother's name as a cuss word? Of course not, because you dishonor her. Jesus said, if you've ever looked at someone with lust, then you've already committed adultery with them in your heart. Have you ever committed adultery? Have you ever looked with lust? I hope you are answering these honestly. See, what I'm doing is giving you what the Bible calls the moral law. These are only 4 of the 10 commandments, and if you answered like I did, then you are a liar, a thief, a blasphemer, and an adulterer at heart. The Bible says it's appointed once for a man to die, then comes the judgment. And if God judges you based off the 10 commandments, would you be innocent or guilty? We'd be guilty. Heaven or hell? The answer is hell. Now, does that concern you? Of course it does. It should. So what did God do so that you would not have to go to hell? John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." Now you may know that verse, but do you know the legal aspects of Jesus dying on the cross? We broke the moral law, or the 10 commandments, and Jesus paid the fine. His last words on the cross were, "It is finished." In other words, the debt has been paid. You can walk out of the courtroom free because Jesus paid your fine. Imagine you have a stack of speeding tickets and fines totaling $10,000, and you are in the courtroom about to be sentenced. The judge says, "You are guilty, you've broken the law, but this person over here paid all your fines, so you're free to go." This is what Jesus did on the cross. He paid our fine so that we could be set free. To close, why do we need to fear God, and why is the fear of the Lord the beginning of wisdom? Jesus tells us in Matthew 10:28. He said, "Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." We fear God because we understand how unworthy we are. We fear God because we understand how holy he is. We fear God because we understand that we've broken his law. This is the fear of the Lord, and it does bring wisdom. To understand this, we can then fully understand and fully appreciate the cross.